Alright, what is up guys? Losomaniac here, you have to excuse me. Alright. And welcome to a video that is inspired by Ketogenesis. I'm going to be going over my list of the top 5 most annoying NPCs and companions, kind of mixed in there, in Fallout history. Now, most of these are like half Fallout 3 and half Fallout 4, with the exception of one of these, which is from New Vegas. Now, this is my list. So, with that being said, I know nothing from uh, Fallout 1 and 2. So these are gonna be reasons why I find these people annoying. So, yeah. So these are actually in like no particular order. Now that I think about it, I should have like shortened these down a bit. Or I should have switched these around. So this number 5, who is actually on number 4 on here, but they're pretty mild, is Mama Murphy from Fallout 4. Now the reason I find her annoying, and by the way, these are lists of people that you would not expect to find in an annoying people list, because this is my opinion. The reason I feel like Mama Murphy's kind of annoying is because she constantly wants chems. She asks you for chems, but then even after you persuade her to stop, she's just constantly like, "Hey, look, my word is fine. You can trust me on this." I didn't trust you then, and now all of a sudden, every fucking time you say that, I'm like, "Oh, okay, I trust you." No, you know what happens? Nothing. She just becomes really annoying. She talks about all of these like crazy stuff that just maybe aren't true. The fact that if you overhear her conversation with Sturgis, she talks about the fact that she killed a Deathclaw with nothing but with no power armor, no fancy minigun, just one bullet, which I doubt is true. Maybe it is, or the fact that if you listen to her talk with Marcy Long, sorry if you guys hear like venting noises. This is my phone's currently sitting on the laptop, so yeah. And also, yeah, if you hear a conversation with Marcy Long, she's talking about the fact that she had a bounty with raiders, which kind of makes sense if you talk with what is it, Jared, or if you meet up with Jared in the Corvega assembly plant. But other than that, I doubt that aside from Jared, that she's actually had a bounty with raiders. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Mama Murphy. She just becomes annoying like the rest of the settlers. If you ask me, maybe Sturgis and June aren't as bad. Yeah. So number 4 is Clover, the companion, for Fallout 3. Now my problem with Clover is the fact that she hates almost everything. Except the person who's holding your contract, which is either you or Eulogy Jones. Um, in fact, if you pay attention to how she is, she'll constantly say she's bored. She yawns a lot. It just gets so annoying. Originally, I did have Sharon on this list, or Sharon, um, mostly because of the fact that he's always grumbly. I'm mostly used to the fact that if a companion talks, that means they have something to say. Um, like Veronica would have something to say if, or needs to talk to you about something if she spoke up, or Boone or Arcade, you know. So having so it was very shock for me whenever it was something different once I learned that they can speak and they don't need to speak to you. So, and then Sharon became annoying, but then I started an evil karma playthrough of Fallout 3. And I decided to use Clover because Jericho, I forgot about him. So, and Clover gets annoyed by every fucking place, everything. She constantly says she's bored. She yawns. She's like, "Let's get out of here," some shit. If you guys have used Clover, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You guys may not find it annoying, but I do. So yeah, next is Elder Maxon. One of the reasons I cannot stand playing the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 4. Look, I will say Brotherhood of Steel is a good faction. Even if I consider good to be morally good, whatever. But Elder Maxon is the reason I hate playing Brotherhood of Steel playthroughs. And let me just start off by saying this has nothing to do with this kind of has to do with the fact that he is following orders, but there comes a certain limit that he comes off as a bit hypocritical and kind of goes back on his word, which I don't really like about people. So whenever you first meet Elder Maxton, if you work with the Brotherhood of Steel, he talks about the fact that you that you got a recommendation, or that Dance recommended you. And considering the fact that it came from Paladin Dance, you couldn't have gotten a better recommendation. So he's very proud of Dance. Alright? And then seconds afterwards, and then after you complete certain quests for the Brotherhood of Steel, you learn that Dance is a fucking synth, and then guess what Maxon does? Turns back on his most his better officer. There are better people, but he does state that Paladin Dance is his best, or one of his best. So by that logic, you're turning against your own men for being something that he's not. Now look, I understand it's a moral ethics thing, but I don't think that in the sense, and maybe again, I know nothing about Fallout 1 or 2, because otherwise maybe different people would have made this list. But it's the fact that they're all about preserving technology and keeping technology safe. Now, it's not as aggressive as the Mojave chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel, but in a sense, that shouldn't be limited to ghouls, super mutants, and synths altogether. It should just be about the technology, because what the hell? And plus, I'm pretty sure it's brainwashing at this point to just be like, synths are an abomination. In fact, that's how Dance feels. Once he learns he's a synth, he says that you cannot keep me alive. I'm an abomination, which is terrible. No one should ever feel that way. Oh, I do, but that's different. So something like that just seems a bit terrible. Yeah. Next, and the only New Vegas character that isn't Oliver Swanick is another faction-related person, Mr. House. I cannot stand him. Alright, so it mostly comes down to the fact that if you watch and I'll link Kato Genesis video and some of the mentioned videos, mostly Oxhorn's Mr. House video. He talks about the fact that he predicted the end of the world, but he was off by 20 hours. Yeah, he was 20 hours short. First of all, if that's possible, that doesn't mean that so he basically uses that as a way to say you should work with me, and here's why. First of all, predicting the end of the world doesn't mean you're a good person for the Mojave. Mojave's changed. All he thinks is New Vegas. He doesn't know what's going out the Mojave. He thinks he does, but what he doesn't see is settlements like Prim and Good Neighbors struggling to survive because, Good Neighbors ghost town and Prim just got ambushed by a bunch of convicts, so therefore they're barely holding on. And even if you have the NCR, if you make the NCR take leadership of Prim, the Prim can barely survive. Same with Good Neighbor. If you side with the NCR, and don't destroy Good, and if you side with Good Neighbor during the fight against the Powder Gangers, they basically say that they can barely hold off on NCR taxes. Now, that being said, why does Mr. House think that he knows the Mojave just because he placed a little spy underneath in like Good Neighbor? Good. Have I been saying Good Neighbor? I meant to say Good Springs. So I'm sorry if I kept saying Good Neighbor and when I mean Good Springs. Hope you guys aren't bothered by it. So So just because he placed the plan in Good Springs doesn't mean that he knows exactly what he's talking about. Yes, Victor was there in Good Springs, so but he had him in he had Victor in Good Springs, Novak, Boulder City, and then you find him in New Vegas. He only cares about New Vegas as opposed to the opposite, as opposed to all of the Mojave, even caring for people like NCR, but even then there's a limit. He says all this stuff just to make him feel powerful, make him knows what he's doing. But I guarantee you, he's probably saying this stuff just to make it up. If it's true, then it just seems like a terrible thing to do. To say, hey, you should work with me because I predicted the end of the world. Like, would you work with someone who's showing off? I personally, I wouldn't. And yeah, number one, and this one is definitely going to be one I will highly regret later. Number one is Kate. Where do I begin? Well, I say where do I begin like it's going to be like a long list of shit. Now, my problem with Kate is in the fact that she gets annoying real quick. And let me explain something. I like to play nice characters, meaning Minutemen and Railroad mostly. All right. Even though I constantly play a lot of Railroad, occasionally I'll have Minutemen. And with my Minutemen, since my Minutemen character has high enough charisma, I have a chance to romance these companions without the need of great mentats or other stuff. So I decided that like, okay, I'll get all the companions since I'm able to have these companions. And since it's my only character that has high charisma and is able to use companions, I'll just use all of them. Get all of them, romance all of them if I need to, just so that way. And I say romance mostly because of the fact of Lover's Embrace, and then I was trying to make it less weird. Trying to make that sentence less weird, more than it already is. But what I noticed with Cade is I have to be against my character. Alright? Her perk is actually pretty good. Especially if you use a lot of VATs or if you run a lot, which is something I do a lot because you don't get that in New Vegas or Fallout 4 or Fallout 3 without mods. And Kate just, first of all, her weapon as a whole is annoying. She's not good with it. Her locksmith skill does barely anything. Kind of like Nick Valentine, but I don't have a problem with Nick Valentine. He's a nice companion. And even after you rid her of chems, you would think that, okay, now she's free of chems, maybe she can start a whole new life, you know? Personally, I don't know about you guys, but if I was addicted to chems over some shit that happened in my life, I would want to restart, you know? If I was an asshole, I'd want to be a nice... I'd want to be a nice person, be nice to people because, you know, I'm free of chems. I could use this as an opportunity to start over. Not Kate. No. From the moment you have her as a companion, her shit stays. Now, it could be just because of the fact that it would take so many programming to make Kate, like, after she's off chems, she becomes nice to people. But still, I say one nice thing to the person, she dislikes that. I'm like, okay, well then what's the fucking point? She doesn't like, first of all, she doesn't like any of the faction endings. She doesn't like the Minutemen. She doesn't like the Railroad. She barely likes the Brotherhood of Steel. She hates the Institute. So what the fuck? She becomes useless then. So what is she used for? She's not used for anything. You can't use her for anything. The only way she could be useful is if you give her a fucking combat shotgun and use some mods to have infinite companion ammo. Or that's what I do. But even then, there's this. I see no redeeming qualities about her. At the slightest. The only good thing about her is that she's romanceable. That's about it. Plus her backstory kind of makes me uncomfortable, but that's my own personal thing, so I won't count that. But yeah, I did wanna throw in an extra one. just kind of like as a joke, I did want to throw Piper in there just to see how people would react, because I have like this weird thing of like whenever I see like worst Fallout 4 people, I expect to see Piper in there for whatever reason. Just because one person doesn't like Piper, I assume everyone doesn't, you know. But I decided to keep it that way because I decided to keep it the way this is. Oh, and another thing about Kate. Apparently you waste her time very easily. Like, even worse than Clover. You try and talk with her, she's like, this better be worth it. Like, no. Another thing I do, is I usually give, companions gear. That's the only time I ever access their inventory. Is give them gear to make them last longer, keep them from dying, you know? Or survive longer. But whenever I try to give Kate anything, she's like, yeah, I'll hold your stuff, or I'll carry your stuff. I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna let you die. You know, I'm tired of it. I'm just gonna let her die. I can't. Shit's getting annoying. Shit has to change. Has to change, even though nothing will, because they're not updating the game anymore. But so that's why I find Kate to be like the worst player, or worst NPC companion, whatever, in the Fallout franchise. Again, haven't played Fallout 1 or 2, so you have to forgive me for that. I understand something like that is, I understand a list like this isn't good. That's why I have top 5 and not top 10, because I haven't played Fallout 1 or 2. I tried watching Oxhorn play Fallout 1, but I just stopped because I can't commit to series well enough. But yeah, I did have some honorable mentions aside from Oliver Swanick, but oh yeah, all of the think tank, except for Mobius. Mobius is actually pretty cool. They constantly talk a lot. That's why that's the reason I don't like that's why I don't like Old World Blues, because it's constantly talking, it's constant bickering, and the fact that you need to talk to three, or yeah, you have to talk to 3 of the 4 robots, to get a good ending, because that way Dr. Klein will be outnumbered 2 to 5 or whatever, 2 to 3, and it just seems. So yeah, anytime I have to do Old World Blues, I just skip over the entire thing. Plus, whoever made Night Stalkers now. Another person is Dean Domino from the Dead Money DLC. I find Dean is like very high opinionated of himself. I hate people who have very high opinions of himself. Saying something like you have to work with him to get to keep him alive, as opposed to he has to work with you. So if you pass any speech checks that basically hint to him that you guys are working together, or he's working with you, as opposed to you working with him, he turns on you. So something like that just seems a bit stupid. But again, not as much as Mr. House. Oh, and Colonel Moore is god awful. Don't get me started on. Personally, now that I think about it, Colonel Moore could have been on this list, but I talk more shit about Kate than any other person in the Fallout franchise on this channel. But yeah, definitely. Okay, so here's my list. As you can see, Kate is down here. Colonel Moore should have been in her place. I completely forgot about that. So yeah, Colonel Moore. Apparently, you have to follow all of her orders. Again, I like peaceful shit. I like nice shit. So I prefer General James Shue or Colonel James Shue over Colonel Moore. If you kill her before the president shows up, the president, or if you side with the Legion and you want to kill Colonel Moore, guess who doesn't show up? The president. So therefore, you basically fail that. I understand that's because of the fact that that Colonel Moore is supposed to be there to escort the president, but something like that just seems a bit weird. Like you could have used someone else. It just doesn't seem right, you know. And plus, the one time I got a chance to kill Colonel Moore, I failed Arizona Killer. So with that being said, there we go. Plus, it's the fact that she's fine with an alliance with the Great Khans, but not the Brotherhood of Steel. Yet the Great Khans have caused more trouble to the NCR than the Brotherhood of Steel, which makes no sense. Because the Brotherhood of Steel is just out to survive. That's about it. They're not here to murder the NCR for what they've done. They're willing to give up Hoover Dam and Helios One. They have no need to claim Helios One if you finish Still in the Dark and side with McNamara. He says we have no plans on taking Helios One. We give up trying for Hoover Dam, so or one of those, but still the same thing. And Colonel Moore's like, you are a dumbass, but let's just move on. And Veronica is like my favorite Fallout New Vegas companion, so something like that kind of bugs me because I love the Brotherhood of Steel. I love technology in video games, but I don't want to blow up the Brotherhood of Steel, you know? So yeah. So that is my list. So let me know who is some annoying people in Fallout 1 and 2. I've heard that Myron, the creator of Jet, is a pretty annoying character, and from what I hear, I agree, but I can't put him on this list because I know nothing else about him that everyone could just say already. About the fact that he's creepy towards women. He doesn't want to leave your companionship. He's willing to give you, although the only good thing would be that he's willing to give you how to remove a jet addiction, but even then, that's just a little bit. So yeah, do you agree with my list in some way? If you don't, who would you put as number one? I didn't want to include 76 because I don't really think there are a lot of annoying people in Fallout 76 aside from the players. But other than that, there's nothing else I could really say. Also, I kind of want to do like an annoying companions list, which will mostly be limited to Fallout 3, New Vegas, and 4. Because I do personally think that companions aren't exempt from that. Well, by the way, now that I realize it, all of the leaders of Fallout New Vegas could have counted. Caesar's pretty annoying. Yes Man's pretty annoying. But this just came down to my personal taste. I do find Caesar to be less annoying as opposed to the other ones because Yes Man is more of like he's not direct in his disagreements. He's mostly like, oh, that makes me sad, but hey, it's what you want. Like, yes, because I am you're just a yes man. You're telling me what to do, but you didn't say I have to do it this way. You're just suggesting that if I don't like him, get rid of him. I like the Brotherhood of Steel, so therefore I'm keeping him. But yeah, I couldn't really think of any other Fallout 3 ones. I guess maybe Amada would have been another one. I do not like Amada in the slightest. But I was in a rush because I didn't want to get caught making this video. So maybe if I had, that's what I'll do. I'll sit down. I have more time to think about this. But let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree? Who do you think should have been in here? And tell me some annoying Fallout 1 or 2 people. I would say Madison Lee, but that's someone already has an annoying Madison Lee list. Also, check the description down below for all the videos I mentioned, which is just 2. Or 3. I'll put in an extra one. So some of the other ones I would have included, obviously, General Moore, Yes Man. I also would have included Night Reese. Night Reese is a pretty annoying one. I would say Paladin Dance is annoying, but to an extent. So yeah. So definitely this isn't an exhaustive list. This is bound to change because, again, I was rushed. or I felt rushed. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below. Do you agree with some of these people being annoying? Do you think that some of them have redeeming qualities to an extent? And where do you and what are these people redeeming qualities? If you tell me anything about Maxon, I'm gonna throw punch you, because I refuse to believe that Maxton has any sort of redeeming qualities. He's the reason I hate working with the Brother of the Steel. That or maybe Night Reese, because he still gets mad at you even if you're a paladin. He's like, I hope you'll accept my apology. He's like, yeah, I will, and then proceeds to get pissed off at you. So therefore, that apology meant nothing. But again, this is my list, so yeah. If you guys are new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I did check that analytics thing that you see on a lot of YouTubers. 100% of you who do not, or who do watch this video aren't subscribed, so please hit subscribe. You can always change your mind if, you can always unsubscribe if you change your mind. If you don't like what I'm posting, which, fair enough, but hey, I could use all the support I can get. Also, if you do subscribe, make sure to hit that bell notification, because I don't have a schedule. Even though I posted for 3 days in a row, this will be the 3rd day I posted in a row since I moved to Washington. So, boom! We're getting somewhere. This is probably going to be the last video of that streak, so. Yeah. And otherwise, leave a comment down below if there are any annoying Fallout 2 people that I would include if or that you think I would have included if I had known something about Fallout 2 or Fallout 1. And if you have anyone who you think believed to be on this list of the 3 games used, I didn't put Oliver Swanick on there because it's predictable. Come on, no one likes Oliver Swanick, so that one seemed predictable. So I did. That's why I put Mr. House, because I don't like the amount of times I have worked with Mr. House. Hold on, of the 20+ times I have played New Vegas, do you know how many times I started with Mr. House? Twice, because I cannot stand him in the fucking slightest. So yeah. And, yeah, and if you guys did like this video, hit like. Obviously, that's how that shit works. So yeah, subscribe if you're new. Loser Manic, out.